Damaged goods, Mom whispered loudly at my sister's baby shower. Too broken to ever have children? 30 guests stared at me with pity. I smiled and checked my watch. The door opened. Maria, my nanny, walked in carrying my 2-year-old triplets. Behind her, my husband, Dr. Alexander Cross, chief of neurosurgery, held our newborn twins. Mom dropped her teacup when my husband announced. The garden room at the Fairmont was drowning in pink. Pink balloons, pink streamers, pink roses on every table, and a massive pink cake shaped like a baby carriage. My sister Natalie's baby shower was exactly what she'd always wanted. Elegant, expensive, and entirely focused on her. I sat at a table near the back, watching 30 women coo over tiny onesies and debate the merits of various stroller brands. Natalie glowed in the center of it all, her hand constantly drifting to her pregnant belly, her smile wide and satisfied. "Isn't this wonderful?" my Aunt Susan said, settling into the chair beside me. "A baby girl for Natalie. Your mother must be over the moon. She's very excited. And what about you, Catherine? When are you going to give your mother grandchildren?" Before I could answer, my cousin Emily joined us. "Oh, Susan, don't pressure Catherine. You know her situation." "Her situation?" Susan looked confused. Emily lowered her voice to what she probably thought was a whisper, but carried across the table. "The accident 5 years ago, she was told she could never have children." "Oh, how awful," Susan said, patting my hand. "I'm so sorry, dear. That must be devastating." "It was difficult," I said carefully. "But you've come to terms with it?" Emily asked, her tone dripping with false sympathy. "Acceptance is so important. I've made my peace." "That's very brave," Susan said. "Not every woman could handle that kind of loss." "What kind of loss?" My mother appeared behind us carrying a plate of petites. "We were just discussing Catherine's inability to have children," Emily said. "How she's been so brave about it." Mom's expression shifted. A mixture of pity and something that looked almost like satisfaction. "Yes, Catherine has learned to accept her limitations." "It must be hard," Susan said, watching Natalie prepare for motherhood when you can't have that experience yourself. "I'm happy for Natalie," I said truthfully. "Of course you are," Mom said, setting down her plate. "You've always been supportive, even with your own circumstances." The word hung in the air like an accusation. Natalie called for everyone's attention. "Thank you all for coming. This means so much to Brad and me. We can't wait to meet our little girl." Applause filled the room. "And I have to say," Natalie continued, her eyes finding me across the room, "I'm extra grateful for this blessing, because not everyone is fortunate enough to become a mother." More sympathetic glances in my direction. "Some women," she went on, "face challenges that make motherhood impossible, and my heart goes out to them." "Really, it does." I sipped my tea and said nothing. The games began, guessing the baby's birth weight, matching celebrity, babies to their parents, creating baby food flavors while blindfolded. I participated when required, smiled when expected, and checked my watch discreetly. 2:47 p.m., 13 more minutes. "Catherine, sweetheart," Mom said, settling into the chair Susan had vacated. "How are you really doing?" "Honestly, I'm fine, Mom. Are you? Because this must be so hard for you. Your younger sister having a baby when you can't." "I'm genuinely happy for Natalie." "Of course you are. You've always been selfless." He squeezed my hand. "But it's okay to grieve what you've lost. To mourn the children you'll never have." "I'm not mourning, Mom. Denial is a natural part of grief." "I'm not in denial, Catherine," she interrupted gently. "The doctors were very clear. After the accident, the damage was too severe. You can't have children. Accepting that is the first step to healing." "I know what the doctor said." "Then why do you seem so calm about it?" "Because I've had 5 years to process." 5 years, she repeated sadly. 5 years of living with this burden. No wonder you threw yourself into your work. My work is fulfilling. I'm sure it is. But it's not the same as being a mother. Nothing is. Across the room, Natalie opened another gift. A designer diaper bag that cost more than most people's monthly rent. "Look at her," Mom said wistfully. "So happy, so complete." That's what motherhood does. It completes a woman. Some women find completion in other ways. Do they? Or do they just tell themselves that to cope with what they're missing? I took another sip of tea and checked my watch. 2:51 p.m. 9 more minutes. Emily returned with my Aunt Margaret. Catherine, we were just talking about you. How lovely. We think you should consider adoption, Margaret said, sitting down with the confidence of someone delivering profound wisdom. I know it's not the same as having your own children, but it's better than nothing. I appreciate the suggestion. There are so many children who need homes, Emily added. And since you can't have biological children, adoption could give your life purpose. My life has purpose. Does it? Mom asked gently. Catherine, you're 41 years old. You've built a successful career. Yes. But at the end of the day, you go home to an empty house. No husband, no children, just work. Actually, I know it's hard to hear, she continued. But someone needs to be honest with you. You've been avoiding the reality of your situation for 5 years. It's time to face facts. What facts? Specifically that you're alone, that you'll always be alone, that the accident didn't just damage your body, it damaged your future. The words landed like punches. Margaret nodded sympathetically. Your mother's right. You need to accept what happened and move forward. Maybe therapy could help learning to grieve properly. I don't need therapy. Everyone needs therapy after trauma like yours. Emily said the accident, the hospital stay, the diagnosis, that's not something you just get over. I'm not trying to get over it. I'm living my life. Are you? Mom's voice rose slightly, drawing attention from nearby tables. Because from where I'm sitting, you're stuck, frozen in time, unable to move past what you lost. I haven't lost anything. You've lost everything, she said, her voice breaking. Motherhood, family, the future you should have had. And instead of accepting that you've buried yourself in work, pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not, the room had gone quiet. Even Natalie had stopped opening gifts. Mom stood addressing the room like she was delivering a eulogy. I'm sorry to get emotional, everyone. It's hard watching my daughter suffer. Watching her pretend she's okay when she's so clearly broken. Mom, 5 years ago, she continued, Catherine was in a terrible accident, car crash. The doctors saved her life, but they couldn't save her ability to have children. The damage was too severe. 30 women stared at me with matching expressions of pity. She's been so brave about it, Mom went on, tears flowing now, so stoic. But I'm her mother. I know she's hurting. I know she's broken inside, damaged goods. My Aunt Margaret whispered just loud enough for everyone to hear, too broken to ever have children. The pity in the room was suffocating. I smiled and checked my watch. 2:59 p.m., 1 more minute. Catherine, Natalie said, standing with some difficulty, her pregnant belly prominent. I want you to know, I don't take this for granted. My ability to become a mother. I know how precious it is, especially seeing what you've lost. I appreciate that, Nat, and I hope, she continued, that being an aunt to my daughter will give you some small taste of motherhood. It won't be the same, obviously, but it's something that's very kind because you deserve to be around children, even if you can't have your own. You deserve to experience that joy, even secondhand. The condescension was breathtaking. Mom dabbed at her eyes. That's beautiful, Natalie. So generous of you to include Catherine in your daughter's life given her circumstances. Of course, Natalie said. Family takes care of family, especially those who can't take care of themselves. 3 p.m., the door to the garden room opened. Maria stepped through, pushing a custom triple stroller. Inside it sat my 2-year-old triplets, Sophia, Lucas, and Emma. 3 perfect toddlers with dark curls and bright eyes wearing coordinating outfits. I picked out this morning. Every head turned. Behind Maria, my husband, Dr. Alexander Cross, walked in, holding our 6-month-old twins, James in his left arm, Lily in his right. Both babies were awake and alert, their tiny fists gripping Alexander's dress shirt. The room fell absolutely silent. Alexander, tall, distinguished, with silver threading through his dark hair despite being only 45, crossed the room to me. He was still in his scrubs, having come directly from Massachusetts General Hospital. Sorry I'm late, darling, he said, leaning down to kiss me. The craniotomy ran long. Complex aneurysm repair? I stood smoothing my dress. How's the patient? Stable. Good prognosis. Dr. Martinez is monitoring her in recovery. Maria brought the stroller to our table. Sophia spotted me and reached up. Mama. I lifted her out, settling her on my hip. Lucas and Emma followed suit, both wanting hugs. Did you miss me? I asked, kissing each curly head. Missed Mama? Emma confirmed. We've only been apart for 2 hours. Long time, Lucas said. Seriously. Alexander handed me Lily while keeping James. They were perfect as always. Maria said they ate all their lunch. Even the vegetables? I asked Maria. Every bite, she confirmed in her accented English. These 3 are very good eaters. And the twins. James took 6-0. Lily took 5. Both had nice naps. You're a treasure, Maria. It's my pleasure, Mrs. Cross. These babies are easy. Mom's teacup slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. The crash seemed to break everyone's paralysis. Catherine. Natalie whispered. What? Who? Sorry to interrupt your shower, I said, adjusting Lily in my arms while Sophia clung to my other side. But I needed to feed the twins. They're on a strict schedule. The twins? Mom repeated faintly. You have twins? 6-month-old twins? Yes, James and Lily. And these are my 2-year-old triplets, Sophia, Lucas, and Emma. 5 children, Aunt Margaret said, her voice strangled. You have 5 children? I do. Alexander smiled at the assembled women. I'm Dr. Alexander Cross, Catherine's husband, chief of neurosurgery at Mass General. Sorry to crash the party, but our nanny texted that the twins were getting fussy. Husband? Emily repeated mechanically. We've been married for 4 years, I said. Small ceremony in Martha's Vineyard. Just close friends and colleagues. We didn't make a big fuss for years, Mom whispered. That's right. We met at a hospital fundraiser. I was there representing my company. We manufacture surgical equipment. Alexander was the keynote speaker. We started talking about spinal surgery innovations and didn't stop. Alexander laughed. She knew more about neurosurgical tools than most of my residents. I was impressed. He was brilliant, I said, and kind and funny. 6 months later, he proposed. 6 months, Natalie said. When you know, Alexander said, shifting James to his other arm, and with Catherine, I knew immediately. Sophia tugged on my necklace. Mama juice. Maria brought your sippy cup, sweetheart. Maria retrieved 3 sippy cups from the diaper bag because of course she brought a diaper bag. A designer one that probably cost more than everything Natalie had received today combined. The accident. Mom finally managed. The doctor said I'd have trouble conceiving naturally. I corrected. Not that I'd never have children. There's a difference. But you told us. I told you the doctors were concerned about my fertility. You decided that meant I'd never have children. I didn't correct you because I was tired of your constant interference in my personal life. Interference. His mom. Interference. Questions about my dating life. Suggestions about what kind of man I should marry. Opinions about my career choices. I wanted privacy. So when you jumped to conclusions about my fertility, I let you. You let us think you were barren. Aunt Margaret looked horrified. I let you think what you wanted to think. And what did you think? That I was broken, damaged, incomplete. That my life had no purpose without children. We were concerned. You were judgmental. There's a difference. Alexander set James in the stroller and pulled out his phone. I'm going to show you something. Do you all have Instagram? Confused nods. Look up Dr. Alexander Cross. That's me with an underscore between the names. Multiple women pulled out their phones. Oh my God. Emily breathed. Alexander's Instagram was public. 12,000 followers, mostly medical professionals and patients. But scattered among the surgical success stories and neuroscience articles were personal photos. Photos of us, our wedding in Martha's Vineyard, both of us barefoot on the beach, the triplets as newborns, 3 tiny bundles in the NICU. Family photos from Christmas, Easter, summer vacation, the twins' birth announcement. Countless pictures of our life together. A life we'd built while my family assumed I was alone and childless. You've been posting this publicly for years, Natalie said, scrolling through the photos. Anyone could have found it. Anyone who bothered to look. I agreed. But none of you did. You were so convinced I was living a sad, empty life that you never thought to actually check. Catherine has over 40,000 followers on her own Instagram. Alexander added her company's account has 200,000. The photos are all there. What company? Mom asked weakly. Cross Medical, I said. I founded it 9 years ago. We manufacture advanced surgical equipment particularly for neurosurgery and orthopedics. We're the leading supplier for 17 major hospital networks, including Mass General, Cross Medical, Natalie repeated, typing on her phone. Oh my God, this company did $340 million in revenue last year. $347 million, I corrected. And we're projecting $410 million this year. The new spinal fusion equipment line is performing very well. You own a $347 million company. I own 73% of it. We have venture capital investors who own the rest. But, yes, essentially. Mom had sat down heavily. Her face ashen. How did we not know any of this, Biz? You never asked. You decided I was broken and alone. And you stopped seeing me as anything else. But we talk all the time. Do we? When's the last time you asked about my work? My actual work? Not your assumption that I had some sad little job. She had no answer at Christmas. I continued, you asked if I was still doing that medical thing. That was your exact phrase. I said yes. You changed the subject to Natalie's pregnancy. I thought you were a medical device sales rep or something small. Mom protested. I'm the founder and CEO of a major medical manufacturing company, but you never asked for details. You'd already decided my life was empty. Lucas tugged on Alexander's scrubs. Daddy, park. After Mama's done here, buddy, then we'll go to the park. Promise. Promise. Natalie was still scrolling through Alexander's Instagram. There are photos from your vacation in Greece. Last summer you took the triplets to Santorini. We rented a villa, I said. 6 bedrooms, private pool, view of the Calera. The triplets loved the beach. Must have cost a fortune, about $40,000 for 2 weeks, but we'd been planning it for months, and the kids deserved a special trip. $40,000, she whispered. We also have a house in the Berkers, Alexander added. 5 bedrooms right on the lake. We go most weekends during summer. The kids love it there. And your primary residence? Emily asked, her voice barely audible. Beacon Hill, I said. Historic townhouse, 7 bedrooms renovated last year. We needed the space for the triplets and twins. Beacon Hill townhouses start at $4 million. Someone said ours was $7.2 million, Alexander confirmed. But Catherine paid cash, so we got a small discount. Mom made a sound like she was choking. The nanny, Margaret said, looking at Maria. You have a full-time nanny. Maria is our primary nanny, I said. We also have Elena, who handles nights and weekends when Maria's off, and Clara, who helps during the week when I'm traveling for business. 3 nannies, Natalie said faintly. 5 children require a lot of support, especially with Alexander's surgical schedule and my company. We believe in paying people well for excellent childcare. How much do you pay them? Emily asked. That's between us and our employees, I said gently, but significantly above market rate. They're worth every penny. Emma started squirming. Down, Mama. I sat her down, keeping a hand on her back as she toddled over to the pink cake. Cake? She asked hopefully. This is Aunt Natalie's cake, sweetie. We have cupcakes at home. Cupcakes better? Much better. Chocolate with sprinkles just how you like them. Okay. She toddled back to me, satisfied. Mom found her voice. The accident. You said the doctors were concerned about your fertility. They were. The trauma to my abdomen raised questions about whether I could conceive. But I worked with excellent reproductive specialists, got treatment, took precautions. And when Alexander and I were ready to start a family, we tried IVF. She repeated. First round gave us the triplets. We'd implanted 2 embryos, but 1 split. Surprise. Identical twins, Lucas and Emma, plus Sophia. And the twins? Natalie asked. Natural conception. Actually, apparently the doctor's concerns were overstated. My body healed better than expected. Alexander smiled. She had a perfect pregnancy with James and Lily. No complications. 7 lbs each. Delivered at 39 weeks. You never told us, Mom said, tears flowing now. Any of it. The marriage, the fertility treatments, the pregnancies. Would you have been supportive? Or would you have interfered, offered unsolicited advice, made it about yourselves? No answer. I wanted my pregnancies to be private. Mine and Alexander, our joy, our journey. Without your commentary or judgment, we would have been happy for you, would you? Because 2 hours ago, you stood in front of 30 people and called me broken. Damaged goods. Too broken to ever have children. Mom's face crumpled. I didn't mean. You meant exactly what you said. You've spent 5 years pitying me, feeling superior to me, using my supposed tragedy to make yourselves feel better about your own lives. That's not fair, Natalie protested. Isn't it? How many times have you told people about your poor sister Catherine who can't have children? How many times have you used my supposed infertility to appreciate your own fertility more? She went pale. I thought so. Maria checked her watch. Mrs. Cross, the twins will need their bottles soon. Let's feed them here, I said. I want my family to see what their lives really look like. Maria prepared 2 bottles with practiced efficiency. I took one. Alexander took the other. We settled into chairs and fed the twins while the triplets played quietly with toys Maria had brought. 30 women watched in stunned silence as we performed this utterly normal act of parenting. They're beautiful, Susan finally said. All of them just beautiful. Thank you. And you look so natural, so happy. I am happy. But why didn't you tell us? Mom asked again. Why let us think you were suffering? Because I was tired, Mom. Tired of your constant judgment. Tired of defending my choices. Tired of being measured against Natalie and found wanting. We never, you always. Natalie's getting married. Why aren't you married? Natalie's having a baby. Why don't you have a baby? Natalie's life is perfect. Why is your life so empty? We just wanted you to be happy. I was happy. I am happy. But my happiness doesn't look like yours, so you couldn't accept it. Alexander finished feeding James and burped him with the ease of long practice. Catherine is the most remarkable woman I've ever met. She runs a multi-million-dollar company, raises 5 children, supports my career, and still finds time to volunteer at the children's hospital. You volunteer? Emily asked. Every Wednesday, I confirmed. I read to the kids in the pediatric ward. Have been for 3 years. 3 years? Mom whispered. You've been volunteering for 3 years and never mentioned it. I mention it, you just don't listen. Last month, I told you I was busy on Wednesday because of my hospital commitment. You assumed I had a doctor's appointment. I thought you were sick. You assumed I was sick because you'd already decided I was broken and fragile. Sophia climbed into my lap, careful not to jostle Lily. Mama, go home now. Soon, sweetheart. Just a few more minutes. Want to see room? Your room at home is much nicer than here. Pink room? Yes, your pink room with all your stuffed animals. And Lucas's blue room and Emma's yellow room. Exactly right. Natalie had been quiet for several minutes just watching. They each have their own room. 7-bedroom house, I reminded her. Master suite for Alexander and me. A room for each triplet. They're at the age where they need their own space. Nursery for the twins. And a guest room. That's only 6 bedrooms. The 7th is my home office. I work from home 2 days a week. Your company lets you work from home. I'm the company. I set the policy. And yes, I believe in work-life balance. It's actually company-wide. All our employees have flexible scheduling options. Alexander stood settling James back in the stroller. Catherine revolutionized the company culture when she took over. Employee satisfaction scores went up 73%. Productivity increased 41%. Turns out treating people well is good for business. When you took over, Margaret asked, I thought you founded the company. I did, but I was also the head of R&D for the first 5 years. I only moved into the CEO role 4 years ago when my previous CEO retired. So, you ran R&D while pregnant with triplets? Emily said slowly. 2nd trimester. I took maternity leave for 3 months after they were born, then came back part-time. Alexander's mother helped a lot. She stayed with us for 6 months. My mother adores Catherine, Alexander said. She keeps asking when we're giving her more grandchildren. More? Mom looked faint. You want more children? We're discussing it. I said maybe in a couple years. We'd like 6 total. 6 children. Large families run in Alexander's family. His mother had 5 children. We think it's wonderful for kids to have siblings. Natalie laughed. A slightly hysterical sound. I'm having 1 baby, and I can barely handle it. You have 5 and you're talking about more. Different people, different capacities. You'll be a wonderful mother to your daughter. I'm just better with chaos. Chaos, she repeated, looking at my 5 well-behaved children. They look perfect. They have their moments. Lucas had a tantrum yesterday about wearing shoes. Emma refuses to eat anything green. Sophia's going through a phase where she only communicates and whispers. Still, Natalie said quietly. They're amazing. They are. I'm very lucky. Mom stood abruptly. I need to talk to you privately. Mom, please, Catherine. 5 minutes. I looked at Alexander, who nodded. I've got them. Mom and I walked to a quiet corner of the garden room. I'm sorry, she said immediately. For all of it. For assuming, for judging, for pitying you. Okay. Okay, that's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? That it's fine. That I forgive you. I'm still processing. I spent 5 years thinking you were alone and broken, and you were building this incredible life. I was. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you let me be part of it? I thought carefully about my answer, because the moment I told you I was dating Alexander, you would have interfered. You would have wanted to meet him immediately, vet him, make sure he was good enough. You would have overwhelmed us. I would have been excited. You would have been overwhelming, and when I got pregnant with the triplets, you would have been here constantly offering advice I didn't ask for, criticizing my choices, making my pregnancy about you. That's not. She stopped. That's fair. That's probably accurate. I wanted my pregnancy to be mine, my marriage to be mine, my children to be mine without your constant input. But I'm your mother, which is why it hurt so much when you called me damaged goods in front of 30 people. He started crying. I was worried about you. I thought you were suffering. Did I seem like I was suffering? Did I ever complain or ask for pity? No. But you decided I must be suffering because my life didn't look like yours. Because I wasn't married with children by 30. Because I focused on my career. I wanted you to be happy. I was happy. I am happy. But my happiness didn't fit your definition. So you couldn't see it. She wiped her eyes. Can we start over? Can I get to know my grandchildren? That's up to you. What does that mean? It means you can be a loving, supportive grandmother who respects boundaries. Or you can be an interfering, critical presence who undermines my parenting. The choice is yours. I want to be the first one, then be that. Can I hold one of the twins? We walked back to the group. Alexander handed her Lily, showing her how to support the baby's head. Mom looked down at Lily and started crying again. She's perfect. She is. She has your eyes and Alexander's nose. And I missed it all. The pregnancy, the birth, the first 6 months. You did, because I was too busy feeling sorry for you to see what was actually happening. Yes. She looked at me over Lily's head. I'll do better. I promise. I'll be the grandmother they deserve. I hope so. The baby shower resumed, but the energy had shifted completely. Instead of celebrating Natalie's impending motherhood, everyone wanted to meet my children, ask about my company, marvel at my life. Natalie sat in the corner, surrounded by unopened gifts, looking lost. I felt a pang of guilt. This was supposed to be her day. I walked over and sat beside her. I'm sorry I overshadowed your shower. Don't apologize. I don't even know what this is. I didn't plan it this way. But when Mom called me damaged goods, I couldn't let it stand anymore. 5 years, she said quietly. You let us think you were broken for 5 years. I didn't let you think anything. You assumed because you didn't correct us. Would you have believed me if I'd said, actually I'm fine? Or would you have just thought I was in denial? She had no answer. I'm happy for you, Nat. Really? You're going to be a great mom. Am I? Because I look at you with 5 kids and a company and a marriage to a neurosurgeon, and I think I can barely handle 1 baby. Everyone's journey is different. Is that what you tell yourself? It's what I know. You'll love your daughter and do your best. That's all anyone can do. She touched her belly. I've been feeling so superior, so complete, because I was going to be a mother and you weren't. I know. And you just let me feel that way. Would it have benefited either of us for me to compete with you? To compare our lives? No. But God, Catherine, you let me be awful to you. You weren't awful. You were human. And sometimes humans need to feel superior to others. I just didn't want to feed that anymore. Alexander appeared with Emma. Someone wants to see Aunt Natalie. Emma toddled over and climbed into Natalie's lap next to her pregnant belly. Baby in there? Emma asked, pressing her hand to Natalie's stomach. Yes, sweetheart, your new cousin. I'd be nice to baby. I'm sure you will share toys. That's very generous. Emma nodded solemnly. Mama says sharing is good. Natalie looked at me. You're raising them right. I'm trying. We stayed for another hour. The triplets charmed everyone. The twins slept peacefully, and Alexander told surgical stories that made the nurses in attendance swoon. As we were preparing to leave, Mom pulled me aside again. Thanksgiving, she said. Will you come, all of you? I'll think about it. Please, Catherine, let me start making this right. I looked at her, really looked at her, at the tears in her eyes, the genuine remorse, the desperate hope will come, I said. But Mom, if you criticize my parenting, question my choices, or make any comment about how I'm raising my children, we'll leave immediately. I understand. And if you call me damaged goods again, in any context, we're done permanently. I would never. You did today in front of 30 people. So, I need to know it won't happen again. It won't. I swear it won't. Okay then. We'll be there for Thanksgiving. She hugged me, careful not to jostle Lily in my arms. Thank you. As we loaded 5 children into our Mercedes SUV, custom ordered with 3 rows to accommodate car seats, Alexander smiled at me. That went well, did it? You stood up for yourself, for us, for our family. That took courage or spite. Sometimes spite and courage look the same. I laughed. Take us home, Dr. Cross, to Beacon Hill, to Beacon Hill. As we drove through Boston's historic streets, past brownstones and gas lamps with our 5 children, secured safely in their car seats, I felt something I hadn't felt in years around my family. Peace. They knew now. All of it. The marriage, the children, the company, the life I'd built. They knew I wasn't broken or damaged or incomplete. I was Catherine Cross, pill, mother, wife, not damaged goods, just extraordinarily blessed. And finally, my family was starting to see it. Whether they could accept it, celebrate it, and support it remained to be seen. But at least now they knew the truth. And that was worth every minute of their 5 years of pity. Almost. I looked in the rearview mirror at my 5 sleeping children and smiled. This was what completion looked like. Not a baby shower with pink decorations. Not my family's approval, but this. 5 car seats, 1 incredible husband, and a life so full it sometimes felt like it might burst. Tomorrow, I had a board meeting. Next week, Alexander had a keynote at a neurosurgery conference. And next month, we were taking all 5 kids to Disney World because we'd promised the triplets, and we always kept our promises. My phone buzzed. A text from Natalie. Thank you for coming today and for letting me be part of their lives. Your kids are incredible. You're incredible. I'm sorry for everything. I type back asterisk. Thank you. See you at Thanksgiving. Asterisk. Another text, this time from Mom. I love you, Catherine. All of you. I can't wait to be a real grandmother to those beautiful children. We love you too, Mom. And I meant it because family is complicated and messy. And sometimes they call you damaged goods at baby showers, but they're still family. And now at least we could start fresh with truth instead of assumptions, with 5 grandchildren instead of 0, with the knowledge that sometimes, the daughter you pity is actually the daughter who has everything. Alexander reached over and squeezed my hand. Home? He asked. I looked at our 5 sleeping children, our full life, our beautiful chaos. Home. I agreed, and drove toward Beacon Hill, toward our 7-bedroom townhouse, toward our life. The one I'd built in secret while my family assumed I was broken. The one that proved I was anything but. The one that was finally completely and perfectly mine,